This video demonstrates how to use Sherpa's Altitude IG platform to scan a network file share or workstation for credit card numbers as part of a PCI compliance initiative. Let's begin by logging into the Altitude console. Altitude supports a large variety of unstructured information. If I click on Administration, you'll see the list of possible content sources include Exchange, Office 365, PST files, SharePoint, and Windows file paths. For today's video, I'm interested in network files, so I'm going to select Windows file paths as my content source. Now you'll notice under the Targets column there are no values. That means Altitude has not identified any network shares it can search yet. So I'll create a data target search to scan my network. These searches are performed by Altitude agents installed on customer networks. In this example, I'll configure Altitude to scan the sales share on our network and return a list of folders or data targets where users might be storing credit card information. Once that scan completes, I can click on the data targets list and I can see that Altitude located a number of folders on the sales share. I can now search any or all of these locations with an Altitude policy to identify potential credit card information. Next, I move to the Policy Management module. When I click on that link, I'm taken to my workflow list. Workflows allow you to define each step of your data governance process. For this video, I'm going to import a template called Scan Network File Shares for PCI from our Altitude Workflow store. This workflow is designed to search for credit card number patterns, then create an audit report showing each file that might contain a credit card number. Okay, that PCI workflow template has been added to my database. Now I'll give you a preview of how it works. If I click the workflow name, you'll see the steps are organized in a flowchart hierarchy which corresponds to the type of data being managed. Since this workflow acts on files, that hierarchy includes path, then folder, then file. Let's take a look at what happens in the path sequence. I'll click that link at the top of the workflow. You can see that the path level has a statement to process each folder. If I select that step, you'll notice that on the right-hand side of the workflow, there's a filter being applied. By default, Altitude will examine all folders in a path, but this filter option allows us to include or exclude specific folders. In this case, the filter tells Altitude to only process folders with names that include the word test. When a matching folder is located, the workflow moves to the next sequence step. The folder sequence then contains a statement to process each file. Once again, a filter condition is being applied, this time to the file extension. This filter will limit the workflow to processing only the common file types where users may store sensitive information. For example, Microsoft Office documents, PDF files, etc. When a matching file type is encountered by the workflow, control is transferred to the next sequence. Now, Altitude will examine the contents of the file and use a regular expression pattern to identify potential credit card numbers. If a suspect number is found, the workflow moves down the true path to a step called Set Values for Report. Here, information such as the file name, folder location, and last access date are added to a report. Now that our data governance steps have been mapped out in a workflow, I can attach that to a policy for execution. I gave my policy a name, selected the workflow to run, then selected the option to retrieve a full text view of any item on the report. This feature provides us with a preview of any file that triggers the credit card batch. Next, I'll click the Next button to continue. On this screen, I'll select the network file shares that I would like to scan for PCI, then click OK. On this screen, I'll set a schedule for the policy. Policies can always be run on demand, but I would like my scan to be performed automatically every Sunday at midnight. Finally, I click Save to create my policy. My policy now shows in the dashboard and is ready to run. I can start it immediately by clicking the box to the left of the policy name, then pulling down the Action menu and selecting the Start Policy option. When the policy is completed, I can view the report of any suspect PCI by clicking on the Reports and Analytics module, then selecting My Reports from the left-hand navigation. This audit report lists every file that potentially contains PCI. In the Suspect Text column on the report, I can see what triggered my credit card test in the workflow. If I'd like to find more detail about the information contained in that file, I can click on the full text icon and see a detailed preview of the document. In addition to credit cards, Altitude can scan your unstructured information for Social Security numbers, passport numbers, birth dates, and many other types of sensitive data. To learn more or schedule a full demonstration, please visit our website at sherpasoftware.com.